Is a hydrometeorological hazard, mitigation, and adaptation. Ayan. If you're going to ask, ma'am, bakit po nasa ocean, yung title? Okay? It is because in connection with our topic, the hydrometeorological hazard itself begins at the ocean floor. Okay? So, in short, we will discuss more about the typhoons, the hurricanes, the tornadoes. Okay? So, yun yung cover ng lesson natin. And, as our main objective in discussing about the hydrometeorological hazard, mitigation, and adaptation, ang ating main objective is to identify the different hydrometeorological hazard, to describe the various hazard that may happens in the event of tropical cyclones and tornadoes, and also to identify the areas prone to hazards using hazard mapping. Ayan. So, yan yung mga pag-aaralan natin. We will also cite the practical ways in order to prevent and mitigate the natural hazard. Excuse me. So, here are the key questions about the topic. Ito yung mga sasagutin natin na katanungan sa ating pag-aaralan tungkol sa hydrometeorological hazard, mitigation, and adaptation. So, number one question na nito, guys, is what makes our country, the Philippines, so prone to tropical cyclones? Okay? So, ano nga ba yung dahilan kung bakit yung Pilipinas halos na laging dinadaanan ng tropical cyclones? Ano ba yung totoong dahilan nito? Okay? And then, sumunod naman po is why tropical cyclones almost never near, okay? Never near across or near or across the equator. Ayan. Then, we will also answer the question, how can you help in coping with geologic hazard such as tropical cyclone and tornadoes? Ayan. And as a start of our lesson, guys, as you can see in the illustration, the distribution of water on Earth is composed of three things. These are the total global water, the fresh water, and the surface water, and other fresh water. So, yun yung pinakang compositions and distribution of water on Earth. Alamin muna natin yung total global water. The total global water is composed of the oceans, which has a 96.5%. Okay? 96.5%. Okay? Ang binubuo nito. Then, it is also composed of, on the top of it is composed of what we call saline lakes. Okay? Which has 0.07%. And saline groundwater, which has a 0.93%. Ayan. So, yan yung distribution ng water sa Earth when it comes on global water. Okay? Then, sumunod naman sa fresh water, we have the, yung fresh water is 2.5%. Okay? Yung 2.5% naman sa fresh water, yung glaciers and ice caps nito is umaabot ng 68.6%. Okay? Then, yung groundwater niya ay umaabot naman ng 1.1%. 30.1%. Okay? Then, surface water and other fresh water is umaabot siya. Yung ice at saka yung snow is nasa 73.1%. While yung lakes is 20 to 1%. Yan. So, yung surface water and other fresh water is, guys, nahahati siya sa 4. Okay? Ito yung atmospheric water, biological water, there, the rivers, the swamps, and then the soil moisture. Yun yung hati, yung surface water. Yung atmospheric water is composed of 0.22%. The biological water is composed of 0.22% also. The rivers has its 0.46%. The swamps has 2.53%, while the soil moisture naman has its 3.52%. Okay? Yun yung cover niya. Okay? So, ito yun, kanina yan. So, let us now proceed with the hydrometeorology. Yan. Ano nga ba yung hydrometeorology? At ano nga ba yung kinalaman nito sa pag-aaral tungkol sa formation ng bagyo, ng cyclones, ng hurricanes, di ba? Na sabi dito, the hydrometeorology is a branch of meteorology and hydrology. Okay? It is where the studies of transfer of water and energy between the land surface and lower transfer starts. Okay? So, doon siya nag-start sa hydrometeorology. Pinag-aaralan dito yung transfer of water and energy between the land surface and the lower atmosphere. The hydrometeorological hazard includes tropical cyclone, okay? Also known as the typhoons and hurricanes. Actually, yung cyclones, guys, typhoons at saka hurricanes, halos iisa lang po yan. Magkakaiba lang yung definitions nito by location. So, mamaya malalaman natin yung sinasabi ni Ma'am. Yung thunderstorm, hailstorm, tornadoes, okay? The blizzards, the heavy snowfall, the avalanches, and the coastal storm, the surges, the floods, and including the flash floods, the droughts, heat waves, and the cold spells, is included siya sa tinatawag nating meteorological hazard. Okay? So, included siya doon. Yun, lahat yun pinag-aaralan sa tinatawag nating hydrometeorology. Yan. So, sabi dito, the hydrometeorological conditions is pwede daw itong makaapekto. Pwede daw siyang makaapekto o pwede siyang maging aspeto para magkaroon ng landslide, ng wildland fires, locust plugs, epidemics, at saka yung transport and dispersal ng toxic substance from the volcano. Pwede siyang maging factor kung bakit nagkakaroon ng mga ganong phenomenon sa Earth. So, gaya ng sinabi ni Ma'am kanina, the tropical cyclone is also known as the typhoon and hurricanes. They are all the same thing but they are known by different name in different location. Halimbawa na lang guys is the North Atlantic Ocean and the Northeast Pacific. Para sa kanila, that is what we call the hurricanes. Pero guys, pagdating sa Northwest Pacific Ocean, ang tawag is Pacific Typhoon. And then, sa South Pacific at Indian Ocean naman, it is called as the cyclone in the correct term. Okay? So, iba-iba yung tawag sa kanya by location, pero iisa lang po siya. Okay. So, in this illustration, guys, as you can see, sabi dito, this is a distance to travel in the same amount of time. That means a slower speed closer to the poles. So, ipinapakita dito sa location, sa sa illustration na to, na yun daw bagyo, pagpapasok siya sa Earth, okay, o papasok siya sa isang area, kapag malapit sa pole, ito yun sa taas, there. Kasi diba the Earth is rotating on itself while rotating on its axis, tama? So, kapag malapit sa pole, yan, yung bagyo, doon ang daan, mabagal lang yung meters per hour niya. Mabagal. Okay, yung ikot. Tapos, kapag ka naman, sa mismong center, pag malapit sa epicenter ng Earth, ang pasok ng bagyo, mas malakas, okay? At umaabot ito ng 1,040 meters per hour. Yan, yan yung pinapakita ng illustration. So, sinasabi na yung particles that is traveling the equator to the south experience a similar curve in the opposite direction. So, here's how to determine the spinning patterns of the hurricane. The area at the center of the hurricane has a very low pressure. Yung pinakang area daw o yung pinakang center ng hurricane, meron siyang low pressure na tinatawag. Tapos, doon siya nag-uumpisa. Yung low pressure area na yan, dyan nag-uumpisang mabuo yung bagyo. Ma'am, paano po nabubuo yung bagyo? Sabi dito, the higher the pressure of the air na nasa paligid ng low pressure area na yon is the more the possibility na makapag-create ito ng bagyo. Okay? So, the low pressure area is the midpoint na tinatawag or the center kung saan there is a lower humidity. Okay? A lower humidity kung saan doon nag-uumpisa yung merong panakanakang ulan, 'di ba? Pero hindi siya ganoon kalakas. Okay? Low pressure area pa lang siya. At yun yung unang binabantayan ng pag-asa. Kapag may nakita silang low pressure area sa isang location, binabantayan na kaagad nila ito. Dahil maaari itong ma-form bilang isang bagyo. Okay? Yan. So, let us now proceed with the different sequences of formation ng isang bagyo. These are the different sequences na dinadaanan ng bagyo bago siya ma-form. Okay? Kasi sabi nga, 'di ba, the tropical cyclone is characterized by a strong wind, heavy rain, and distinct low pressure center. So, yung distinct low pressure center na yon, ang tawag natin doon is the eye. Okay? So, mag-start tayo sa 1. Yan. So, si number 1, that is the time when the warm, moist air moves over the ocean. Guys, alam niyo yung 'di ba madalas ibinabalita na kapag pag nagkaroon ng El Nino sa isang lugar, ang kasunod na nito ay malalakas na ulan, bagyo, malalakas na bagyo. Bakit? Kasi during the time of El Nino, nagkakaroon na ng warming of moisture ng tubig sa dagat. Dahil doon, kapag nagwa-warm yung moisture ng tubig sa dagat, that is the time na nag-e-evaporate ito. Nasa stage 2 na kaagad siya. Okay? So, nag-e-evaporate ito. The water vapor rises into the atmosphere at naiipon siya. Okay? Naiipon siya. Nagta-turn ito sa stage 3, guys. Nagta-turn ito into a cool and condensed water. Nagiging droplets siya. Nagiging liquid droplets na naiipon sa ulap. Okay? And then, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na condensation. From the water cycle, di ba? Nagka-condensation siya. Tapos, from the condensation, it releases the heat from the water, okay, and to the atmosphere. Kaya nagiging light air siya. Diba? Tapos, sa stage number 5, yung warm air is continue na nagra-rise up siya. Okay? Tapos, it has a moist air from the ocean that is taking place which increase more wind. Mas lalo pang lumalakas yung hangin, kapag ganun yung nangyari. So, yun kaya nag-uumpisa siyang nag-uumpisa na magkaroon ng kapag mabigat na yung tubig na naiipon o yung water droplets na naipon sa ulap, ibabagsak na ito. Diba? Tapos, most especially, pag nasabay pa ito na mayroong low pressure area sa isang lugar, possible na maging bagyo ito. Yan. So, talking about the typhoon, guys, these are the parts of the hurricane na tinatawag, So, these parts of the hurricane, yung nasa gitna, that is what we call the eye. Yung sinasabi ni Ma'am, it is where the low pressure area begin at the eye of the typhoon. Okay? Tapos, yung nasa paligid nito, yung pinakang hangin na nasa paligid, yung umiikot sa paligid ng eye ng bagyo, ang tawag natin doon is the eye wall. Okay? That eye wall supports the eye, 'di ba? Habang gumagalaw ito from an area, 'di ba? So ganun yung nangyayari sa kanya. Then, yung rain band naman guys, ito yung mga ulap na mabilis na kumakalat at nagre-release ng ulan. Yan, ang malalakas na ulan. Yan siya. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, pag may bagyo, madilim ang ulap. Yun yung rain band na tinatawag. Tapos yung rain band na yun, ang nagre-release ng malalakas na ulan. Ay, o maraming ulan. So, a tropical cyclone is a generic term which is used by meteorologists in order to describe a rotating organized system of clouds and thunderstorm that originates over a tropical or subtropical water and has close low-level circulation. So, kapag nakita niyo yung tinatawag na tropical cyclone, the meaning of that is it describes a rotating organized system of clouds and thunderstorm. Diba? So, that is, yun yung pinakang clue niya. Now, this cyclone, okay, is, kumbaga, nahahati siya. It has a distinctive scale na tinatawag. Ang tawag natin doon is the tornadoes and the cyclones. Okay? Kumbaga, alamin natin yung pinagkaiba ni cyclones at saka ni tornadoes, ano? Guys, si tropical cyclones is usually napo-form ito sa dagat, sa tubig. Ayan, doon siya doon siya napo-form. And usually, si tropical cyclone is minimeasure by Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Yun yung ginagamit para sa measurement nito. Yung intensity niya, yung bilis ng galaw niya, 'di ba? Paano siya mabilis na nagiging bagyo? Saan yung susunod na magiging targeting niya, yung pagbagsak niya o landfall niya? Tapos, guys, si tornado naman is na-form because of what we call mesocyclone. Guys, pag sinabi nating mesocyclone, this is a type of tornado that form on land. 'Di ba? Maliit lang siya actually. Maliit and it only lasts for a minute. 'Di ba? Kaya lang naman tumatagal si tornado is kapag may halo na ito na tropical cyclone na tinatawag. Kapag mahaluan siya sa bagyo o nangyari siya during may bagyo, saka siya lumalakas. Okay? So, yan. So, from this illustration, guys, as you can see, it shows the intensity or classification of tropical cyclone according to its intensity. At ikinumpara siya, guys, sa mga sasakyan na meron sa mundo, sa Earth. Okay? So, ito yung mga sasakyan na ginagamit natin by mula sa mabagal, pabilis ng pabilis, 'di ba? So, alamin natin ano nga ba itong mga ito. If you're going to ask again about the low pressure area, itong pinopoint ni ma'am. So, the low pressure area is the area or it is the region where the atmospheric pressure is lower than its surrounding. Okay? Yun yung low pressure area. At ito yung unang-unang binabantayan. Pag nagkaroon ng low pressure area sa isang lugar, binabantayan na siya. Okay? So, it was released by the PAG-ASA or also known as Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Service Administration. So, they provided the cyclone categories. Alamin natin ano yung different cyclone. Okay, so from our lesson yesterday, we have discussed about the tropical cyclone. So, ngayon naman, we were to tackle about the different intensity or categories ng tropical cyclone. Okay, it has been released by the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration or what we call PAG-ASA. Okay, so yung number 1 is the tropical depression or TD. Okay, and it has a maximum sustained wind of 61 km per hour, which is equivalent to 33 nautical miles per hour or more. And then, we also have the tropical storm, okay, or TS, which has a Mach of 62 to 117 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, yung severe tropical storm naman is applicable naman when there is an international warning for shipping, and it will not be used for general public dissemination unlike the other categories. So, yung severe tropical storm naman, mostly the affected ones here are yung mga sasakyan na malapit sa dagat. Ayun, or nasa dagat. So, kapag ka ang bansa is or ang isang area is nakakaranas ng tropical storm, normally talaga is ipinapatigil o hindi pinababiyahe ang mga tao sa dagat. Okay? Kasi madalas na nagkakaroon ng pagtaob ng barko, okay? Paglubog ng barko during this time. Kasi nga, malalakas ang alon. Malalaki nga yung alon, no? Then, sumunod is the typhoon, which is identify tropical cyclone with a wind speed of 118 to 220 kilometers per hour. So, umaabot din ito ng hanggang 64 to 100 kilometers or knots. Okay? And then, lastly is the super typhoon, which has been released last 2013 lamang, right after the bagyong anong tawag dito, Yolanda, okay, na talaga namang nagpalubog sa buong Tacloban, and this super typhoon has a maximum sustained wind of more than 220 kilometers per hour, and it is as powerful as 120 nautical miles per hour. Okay? Excuse me. Okay. So, here are the top 5 most deadliest typhoon throughout the history of the Philippines. So, ito daw yung top 5 most deadliest typhoon in the Philippines. Unang-una na dito is yung Yolanda, kagaya ng nabanggit ni Ma'am kanina. Okay? So, sa panahong ito, yung Typhoon Yolanda has an international name of Haiyan. Okay? And it is considered as one of the strongest tropical cyclone in the world history. At it is because the Typhoon Yolanda not just surpass through the Philippines but also in other countries. Okay? So, isa sa mga naapektuhan ng Typhoon Yolanda nung 2013 November is the Tacloban Leyte, which is umabot ng 6,300 people ang namatay at umabot sa 1,062 naman ang hanggang ngayon ay nawawala. Okay? Then, number 2 natin, sumunod na pinakamalakas is the Tropical Storm Uring. Actually, si Tropical Storm Uring ay mga 10 years after saka nangyari si Typhoon Yolanda. Doon pa rin sa lugar ng Leyte. So, nung time na yon, it was November 5, 1991. Di ba? November 5, 1991 na nangyari sa Leyte at halos inilubog yung buong Leyte nitong Tropical Storm Uring. At ang kanyang international name is Telma. Yan, Telma yung kanyang international name. Then, Typhoon Pablo naman is one of the world typhoon to hit Mindanao during December 2012. So, ito ay nangyari 1 week before Christmas. Si Typhoon Pablo. Ang kanyang international name is Bopa. Okay? At umabot ng 797 yung nawawala at 1,200 naman yung namatay. Okay? During the Typhoon Pablo. Then, the number 4, Typhoon Sendong with an international name Washi. Okay? This happens before Christmas in 2011, And Typhoon Sendong hit the northern part of the Mindanao. At umabot po ng 1,268 yung namatay nung panahong yon at 181 naman ang nawawala. Okay? Then Typhoon Nitang naman or Aiki, yan, or Ike. Yan, Typhoon Ike, this happened nung September 1994, okay? Noon sa core ng Central Visayas, ano? At umabot ng 1,029 people ang namatay at 464 naman ang nawawala. Okay? Ang nawala nung panahon na yon. Now, 'di ba kanina tinanong natin ano kung bakit 'di ba nga ba ang Pilipinas ay marami ang o madalas na nagkakaroon ng bagyo. It is because the Philippines or our country is located along the typhoon belt in the Pacific. So that is why the Philippines is visited by almost or an average of 20 typhoons every year. Actually, that is 20 to 21 typhoons from A to Z. Okay? So, dito naman tayo ano sa tornado. Okay? A tornado is a violent rotating column of air which is extending from a thunderstorm to the ground. So, the most violent tornadoes are capable of tremendous destruction with wind speed of up to 300 meters per hour. And they can destroy large building, uproot trees, and hurl vehicles hundred of yards. Okay? Yun yung mga kaya niyang sirain. Okay? So, actually, this tornado is, it is a rotating column of air, na ine-extend yung thunderstorm sa ground. Okay? The tornado strength is currently measured on what is called enhanced Fujita scale. Okay? At ito inadapt doon sa tinatawag na Fujita scale in 2007. Okay? So, as you can see from the illustration here, yung number 1, okay? Here is the number 1. So, sa number 1, guys, the thunderstorm or the hailstorm release energy and strong wind. While for number 2, the strong wind and energy begin to rotate and form the column of the spinning air. Ayun yung number 2. The column of spinning air. Then, for number 3, the mesocyclone meets warm air moving up and cold air moving down. That is creating the panel. So, parang habang habang nagro-rotate siya, habang nag-i-spin siya pataas at saka pababa, yung nasa pinakang ilalim niya, that is the cool air. Tapos yung nasa taas naman, that is a warm air. Nagmi-meet daw sila sa gitna in number 3. Tapos, sa number 4, the panel that is made up of dust and air, the breeze reaches the ground and tornado is formed. Yan. So, yan po yung layers ng isang tornado. So, this illustration shows the differentiation between the tornado from a cyclone. If you are to look the illustration, yung tornado has a small diameter of about 100 meter. Okay? It is made up of a single convective storm and usually yung tornado nangyayari ito sa lupa. Okay? And it usually lasts for a minute. Okay? Tumatagal lang ito ng minuto. Okay? Then, the tropical cyclone is much larger in diameter of 100 kilometers. Yan. So, mas malaki daw siya, no? And usually, it is made of the multiple convective storm. And, nangyayari ito, in oceanic phenomenon. This usually happens sa dagat. And, they die over the land masses. So, kapag nagsimula ito sa dagat, guys, itong tropical cyclone, at napunta sa land, unti-unti naman itong nawawala. Okay? Doon siya nag-uumpisang mamatay o maglaho. Okay? So, these tropical cyclones usually last for days. 'Di ba? Tumatagal daw ito ng araw. Yun nga yung bagyo. 'Di ba? Na sinasabi doon sa topic natin. Okay? So, both of them are atmospheric vortices. Okay? Both the tornado and the cyclone is atmospheric, meaning to say sa air. It lives, nagaano siya sa air. Okay? So, while the cyclones and tornadoes differ greatly, cyclones upon reaching land usually provide the conditions or the ideas for tornadoes to form. So, this is one of the reasons people consider them to be similar. Okay? So, next. The worldwide wind patterns, okay, ocean surface temperatures and earth tilting, solar radiation, and topography have been some of the factors that affecting seasonal changes and variations affecting our weather or the short term and the climate, which is the long term. Diba? In the worldwide wind patterns, yung ocean surface, the temperature, the altitude, the solar radiation, tsaka yung topography, kasi ilan lamang ito sa mga nakakaapekto sa variation ng weather at saka ng climate. Pag sinabi nating weather, that is a short term. Halimbawa ay panahon ngayong araw na to, maulan. Bukas, maaraw na ulit. Yun yung weather. Yung climate kasi, yun yung tumatagal siya. Let's say for example, tag-ulan, tag-araw, tag-lamig, diba? Tag-lagas, diba? So, when we say monsoon, it is a seasonal shift in wind direction. Okay? Yung monsoon daw, yun yung tinatawag nating seasonal rather. Ito siya. Seasonal changes in or shift in wind direction. And it can cause heavy rainfall during the summer and dry spell naman during the winter. So, monsoons are often described as the synonymous to sea breeze or the movement of cold sea air towards the warm water. And the Philippines has two prevailing wind system. Ang Pilipinas daw, meron siyang dalawang wind system na tinatawag. Una is what we call the northeastern wind or the amihan, which is, this is the season where the trade winds from the northeast dominates. While sa southwest wind naman, or tinatawag nating habagat, ito naman yung the land and the sea heats up and evaporate water. So, tag-init, Ito yung napaka-init, mainit during the habagat. Okay? So, nag-evaporate daw, yung water from the sea heads. Okay? So, yan. So, the hydrometeorological hazard is usually, it covers the tropical cyclone and tornado hazards. Okay? So, it also covers the monsoon hazards. Yan. Yan yung cover niya. Ano po? So, alamin muna natin, yung kabilang doon sa tropical cyclone and tornado hazards. So, ulitin ko po, the hydrometeorological hazard types are the tropical cyclone and tornado hazard and monsoon hazard. Ayan. So, dito muna tayo sa isa. The tropical cyclone and tornado hazard, it includes number 1, the flooding o pagbaha. Okay? When we say flooding, it is the flow of water in an area that are normally dry. And floods are the second most widespread natural disaster on Earth. Okay? So, floods usually occur when precipitation fall from more quickly than the water can be absorbed into the ground or carried away by rivers or stream. Then, sumunod naman ang cover ng tropical cyclone and tornado is what we call the storm surge or daluyong ng bagyo. Okay? This storm surge is a landward phenomenon of water rising above the normal sea or tidal levels due to the low pressure area forming in the sea. So, ito yung pagpo-form, yung pinakita ko kanina, the formation of the storm. Diba? So, ito na nga yun, the storm surge. Okay? And usually, the storm surge is nag-uumpisa sa dagat. Okay? Because of what we call the formation of the low pressure area. Okay? For number 3, the structural damage. This structural damage is, ito naman yung typhoon, na naaapektuhan ng mga buildings and other structures. Okay? So, meron tong dalawang klase, It's either direct force or projectiles. Yung wind also inflicts damage by picking up and launching tree branches, building materials, and other debris into the structures. Yan. So, yun siya. And then, sa monsoon hazard naman, when we say monsoon hazard, monsoon season can actually fail and bringing intense drought and famines to many parts of the world. So during the monsoon, there are weather hazards that people should be aware, including the downburst of the wind, lightning, dust storm, okay, thunderstorm, the wildfires, at saka yung extreme heat and flash floods. So, karaniwan, apektado ng monsoon hazard yung ating kalusugan. Bakit? It is because during the summer monsoon season, maaari tayong magkaroon ng sakit kagaya na lamang ng cholera, dengue, chikungunya, okay, malaria, as well as stomach and eye infection. Yung sore eyes. Yan, pwede nating makuha during the summer monsoon season. Okay? So, in this illustration, lang. So, dito sa illustration,